adapted than us, and some of them even had bigger brains than modern humans. On the face of it, then, it seems quite surprising that our species lasted very long at all. So how did we overcome the Neanderthals? Maybe our tools and weapons were just better than theirs. Well, for decades, that's exactly what the experts thought. But this idea hadn't been thoroughly tested until now. So how are you doing?
Oh, doing all right.
Bruce Bradley and Metin Erin spent over a year making thousands of basic cutting tools. So we've got these two tools. This one, a basic tool made by a Neanderthal, and this one, a basic tool made by a modern human at the same sort of period.
Correct.
Now, they're obviously very different looking. This one's long and thin, and this one is round. But are they different in terms of function, in terms of what they're used for?
They were used for the same kind of tasks, mostly cutting tasks.
So, for example, I mean, both are really sharp. If you want to use both of those to cut, some pretty thick leather here.
This is a typical Neanderthal tool.
Exactly. You can see that it just cuts through this really thick leather very easily.
That is incredibly sharp. Look at that. Wow.
And this is really tough leather.
Effective, isn't it?
So,
That's brilliant.
yeah. Now let's try the blade.
Hold it very carefully.
Yes. This is the sort of thing that was made by modern humans.
Exactly.
If anything, I would say that flake is a bit, I mean, that's cutting, but just, you know, just picking up the tool and using it immediately, I'd say the flake's actually a little bit easier to use.
When we created thousands of tools, we found that the technology of the Neanderthals actually produced more cutting edge overall. It wasted less raw material, and you could produce more tools than the blade cores of modern Homo sapiens.
Now, Metin, that's very new, isn't it? It's quite remarkable, because you're telling me that the Neanderthal technology is just as good, in fact, if not better, than the modern humans. I mean, that goes against everything that people have said for the last few decades.
That's true, and it was a very exciting result.
It's just one study on one aspect of tool making. But I still think it's important. This is fascinating, and it means that the long-standing theory about modern human technology being superior to Neanderthal stone tools just doesn't stand up. I want to see if there's another explanation for why we survived and Neanderthals didn't. I'm on my way to meet an expert who thinks the answer may be much less obvious.
Okay, Alice, let's see if I can find everything.
Thanks to some discoveries made here in Germany.
This is a very unusual artifact because it's a flute. And the strange thing about this is that what's really spectacular is that it's made of solid mammoth ivory. It takes between 50 and 100 hours to make one if you know how to do it.
Yeah, it's been carved down to that shape.
It really takes talent and really genius in the same sense that, I don't know, Michelangelo or Rembrandt or something like that.
So it's the first sign we've had, the first archaeological evidence we've had of people making music.
Yeah, music was a part of their lives just like it's a part of our lives today.
So what's in here?
Okay, this is a very interesting piece. This is the representation of a phallus. And it's not delicate at all. It won't break. You can hold it. And if you look at it, the ring around here, you know, makes it, you know, fairly obvious sexual image. One could, you know, easily imagine using it in ritual functions or also, you know, straight sexual functions in one form or another.
So do you think this is the first archaeological evidence of smut?
I don't know. I wouldn't rule that out.
I can't believe it. I'm an anatomist and you've made me blush with a bit of prehistoric phallic imagery. It seems our ancestors were more like us than we might imagine. But this doesn't really answer my question. After all, what use is a flute against a Neanderthal? Nicholas takes me to see the cave where the artifacts were found. Our ancestors weren't the only people who lived here.
This is the famous southwest entrance of the cave. This is actually very close to where the human remains were made. But there were definitely Neanderthals here. There are a number of deposits in the lower sediments made by Neanderthals. So Neanderthals and modern humans were definitely both here at Vogelhert.
Both using these caves?
Both using this cave, but also using a number of other caves in the Lona Valley where we are.
Many beautiful objects have been found in this region. Made by our ancestors, they reveal a crucial difference between us and Neanderthals. This figure of a lion man was made around 35,000 years ago, but it's not a one-off. Other, strikingly similar pieces have been found in the region. What's going on here?
The modern humans here, and for instance in the neighboring valley, make the exact same artifacts, and they're definitely part of the same group. There's no way that it's chance that you get identical artifacts at sites 20, 30, 40 kilometers away. And that tells us that populations with a shared identity were fairly large, covering fairly large areas, presumably interacting, mating with one another, helping each other. And